This episode is brought to you by regret and bad choices.
Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. Objects, I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And I'm going to start off this episode with I was thinking, okay, I know.
Oh,
boy.
boy.
You're going to say,
oh, boy.
I expected it. That's why I just figured I'm like, I get it what you're thinking. Probably everyone out there is thinking. But so the normal folk, and we're recording on a Thursday, and rather than just kind of like saying, hey, you know, we're recording on a Thursday, the normal folk out there call this day, you know, the drinking folk, you know, call it Thirsty Thursday, which I suppose we could. You probably got a water in front of you, maybe a tea, got some coffee. You know, everyone's thirsty, but I had a thought on what we could call when we record on Thursday night. So you ready?
All right.
Sober
Jesus.
Thursday episode of Sober Not Mature. I can't even say mature.
Jesus. I'm going to need you to pee into this jar.
I figured I'd get a reaction like that, which is why I did it. So, but yeah, anyhow, so you have plans tomorrow, going to some sort of sock hop or something like that tomorrow, huh?
Right. Hoot nanny.
A hoot nanny. Okay,
a
so
shindig.
What's up with you and your shindig tomorrow night? Tell us.
A friend of mine, an old friend of mine, like literally 40-year-old friend, is playing drums for a bit of a legend these days, Handsome Dick Manitoba from the Dictators, which means nothing to no one. Very few of us, it means a lot. Anyway, yeah, so my buddy Scotty Slam has been playing with Handsome Dick now for probably getting close to a year. He plays in other bands too. He's been in Circus of Power. He's got a band called The Stoning. He's been playing forever. He's been playing 40 years that I've known him. It's how we met, was through rock and roll in good old Excremento, California. And and Christ, I haven't seen him in probably pretty close to fucking 30 years.
Oh God, really? Wow.
Yeah, right. You know, I mean, we're, kept in touch on Facebook and whatever, but yeah, I mean, in person, whatever. I mean, pretty much since I left LA, I haven't seen him. So it's going to be kind of cool. He, messaged me a while back and said, "Hey man, we're coming through. We're playing. I don't know. I think they're in Cincinnati or at the other side of the river in Kentucky tonight. They'll be up in Detroit tomorrow, and then they're playing, I think, Pittsburgh on Saturday. I don't know. Anyway, but given the choice, I'm going to go home. So I'm going to Hamtramck, Michigan, the Polish capital of the world. It is. I had plenty of relatives that lived in Hamtramck. It's a little community in Detroit.
Nice.
So anyway, they're playing Small's Bar there tomorrow night, and I'm going up to hang out with them all.
Nice. And you mentioned it when we had, I don't know, we had first started talking about this guy probably a month ago when you're like, it's a month away, but,
Right.
but I forgot the whole thing. As soon as you mentioned the band name, I remember that, but I didn't,
hmm
I don't know if I remember that you were going up to Michigan, but that's kind of cool. Little
Yeah.
road trip, huh? Nice.
Yeah. A little road trip going back to the homeland.
Very nice. Well, and I mean, a lot of times it's I don't know. We've had plenty of these, different night recordings, but I think
hmm
it's usually been my fault.
Right. Yeah. Usually. Well,
Because
because I don't have a life.
well, you do, but you'll do a show or something like that. But I mean, you've been kind enough when I've had to get up at some ungodly time or
hmm
something like that. Kind of working with me a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think when I was in I don't know someplace. Getting together with I was doing something. Who knows what the fuck I was
I don't
doing?
know,
But
man. I learned somewhere it's not all about me, so I tend to.
yeah, and you know what? I mean, tomorrow I'm going up to Wisconsin, but I mean, I can't check in until 3. I'm probably not even going to leave
hmm
here until I don't know. I'll probably leave at 10. I got to stop and get my mail and kick around, and
Right.
on the way up there and take my time. But
Yep.
yeah, tomorrow's actually one of the days when I don't need to, necessarily leave at any weird time. But
Right.
so
Yeah. I
fuck it,
mean,
I don't
I'm
care.
shit. I'm not hitting the road till about noon because, yeah, same thing. Can't check into my room until 3. So,
Right.
yep. Yep.
Yeah, well, that's cool though. Well, nice. Like I said, I remembered that you were doing some sort of show, but I did not remember it was a Michigan thing. So well, that's
Yep.
cool though. I mean, on top of that, I mean, my God,
Yeah.
not seeing some. Is he still in L.A.?
Yeah, he still lives in LA. Yeah, he's
Okay.
at Burbank, I believe now. He's got a big ass old house and he's always posting shit, all these fucking rock stars hanging out in his house and shit. And
Oh,
yeah,
really?
oh yeah. I mean, he's been there the entire time. He's a New Jersey native. And yeah, parents moved to Sacramento, kind of like me. And we hooked up in the scene there as much as it was. And yeah, we've been friends ever since. And we all moved to Hollywood at the same time. He stayed, I moved on.
Right. Well, that's cool though. I mean, again, that's kind of fun. I think now that I remember that because you were talking about that he might have some connections and things like that, but not that we necessarily have to talk about at the moment.
Right.
But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so that's cool. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of that real quick, that that individual, remember the cool one that had contacted us, I don't know, like a few weeks ago,
Uh
about possibly coming on.
ah,
The one that I
cool. Oh
agreed
yes,
to,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
the
yes.
brother
Yes.
of the whatever.
Yes.
So I think it was like a week ago now or a handful of days ago now because I hadn't heard
hmm
from the individual. I don't know who she is, whether she's a booking agent or whatever the case is. But I'm like,
Right.
hey, didn't hear anything yet, and I still haven't heard anything. So,
Ah. Okay.
so we'll see. But yeah, if I don't know, it's one of those things that in that it's happened to us a few times, where
hmm
we've had individuals contact us, and then who knows, maybe they actually just again we end up on a list, and they're like, oh, this is a podcast, and they start
Right.
looking, and they're like, well, it's small, they could see
hmm
that, or
Right.
they start listening, and they're like, yeah, we don't we don't want. We want nothing to do with that. And if it's because we're a small podcast, I understand that.
Sure.
No, if I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Right.
If it's from the other thing, I actually appreciate that. If they don't want to be on here because they listen to us and we're just they're like, fuck, we're
Right.
that that makes me feel good. So
Right. We're doing something, whether
yeah,
it's right or wrong. We're definitely individual and we have a style, if you will. So sure. Right.
right.
And if it doesn't match up with whatever the hell they're trying to do, cool.
Well, and we've talked about that too. That I mean, there was a time, admittedly for me, especially in the beginning, where I was so focused on the number and the growth and this and that.
hmm
And still, I mean, I'd love to see us grow. I mean, I know you would
Right.
too, but
Right.
finally it got down to the point where what I mean. It's like I I appreciate the fact, and I know you do too, of I mean the size of the podcast, the size of the audience, and that sort of thing is really not important. Yes, we
hmm
talked about the people that hopefully that we've got good solid people and I think loyal followers, loyal listeners, and that's fine. It's a nice tight group, which is kind of how you and I are to begin with anyhow. So
hmm
there's that. But on top of that too is that I like the fact that we don't have to fucking answer to anybody.
Absolutely.
And that's that egotistical alcoholic whatever, but that's a piece of me that I really appreciate that freedom. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fucking punk rock, man. We're doing it the way we want to do it, and we're responsible for all of it, and it's fucking great, man.
Right.
Independent. Yup.
Yeah. People are like, "Oh, you should do this." No, we're not going to do it ever. We're
No,
not going to do that. We're not going to do what you want us to do. Damn it. We're not going to
that's
be
right.
who you want us to be, man.
Nope.
Because you know what? Either again, we'll stay as we are until we fade away, or
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Maybe we'll grow, but if it happens organically. So
Absolutely.
people don't like it, fuck them. That's all I got to say.
Yup.
All right. So, but the thing that we do like to do, and the
Mm.
thing that I think helps other people, and the
Right.
thing that we're doing for other people and ourselves is, guess what? A reading, right?
Sure.
Do we have a reading even though it's Sober Thursday?
Keep that shit up, and no, we won't.
Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. I take all that back. I could be punished. I don't want everyone else to be punished. That's
Right.
my fault,
Please.
everyone. My fault, everyone.
Yeah, we have a reading.
Good.
This is from Keep It Simple from a couple days ago. Read it, went, yeah, that'll do. So I guess this will do. March 3rd. But the alcoholic will be absolutely unable to stop drinking on the basis of self-knowledge. The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Our program says 3 things are more important than knowing ourselves. First, admitting we have no control over our addiction. Second, believing in a higher power or power greater than ourselves. And third, turning our lives over to the care of that higher power. Knowing ourselves makes our lives better in recovery, but it does not keep us sober. Sobriety starts with the surrender to our higher power. We now know that we need the faith and strength we get from a higher power or power greater than ourselves. We also need the support of others in our program. Prayer for the day. Higher power, thank you for my sobriety today. Teach me what I need to know about myself to do your will today. Action for the day. Today, I will talk with my sponsor about the change in my spirit that keeps me sober.
The change in my spirit, or we'll start with you. The change in your spirit, Mike.
The
um,
change in my underwear.
right. My spirit. So, I don't know. I mean, I get what they mean, and I'm sure you kind of
Right.
get what they mean. So, how do you interpret that as far as the change, whatever change you want to call it, that keeps you sober today? I guess let's start there.
Well, kind of alluded to it earlier. I'm not the most important thing around here anymore. Right. Yeah, I mean that's the big one, I'm not number one. I am not the center of the universe. I am not the most fucking important thing in the world anymore. And that's wonderful. I don't want to be anymore. I probably didn't want to be when I thought I was. Um yeah, that is the change. I'm not running the show. I'm not in control of things. The only control I have is my response to things. Um, yeah, well, it's I'm not the center of the universe anymore. It's the best way to put it.
And I like the way not the way, the fact that you repeated that a couple of times
Mm,
anymore.
right,
It kind of goes along with when we talk about things that haven't happened yet.
right.
It's the same concept, but just going the technically the other direction. But
Yeah.
um, I mean, yeah, that is kind of it's again it's freedom. You and I have talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
That not having to be the center of, or having to, because we had to control things and people
Mm-hmm.
and circumstances and situations and all that stuff. And it
Yeah.
just made me think about just the other day, and I'll mention this in a second, but the like my job, for instance. I mean, the fact that I don't have to control people anymore. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
manage people anymore.
Right.
I had just it was a monthly meeting that we have, and my manager, and then actually the two managers, and it's a kind of a laid back type of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about a couple of normal things, but then he's like, oh, he goes, we're also looking at, he goes, as we move ahead, he goes, we're looking for mentors and things like that. He
Mm.
said, would you be interested? And I'm like, well, what does that entail? They start explaining it, and then I kind of caught, because I know that there's other people that have worked with me at this job that are, doing this thing. He's
Mhm.
like, well, like doing side by sides of people and this and that, and afterwards do a training thing. And he goes, basically, you get an extra $150 a month. You got to do this and
Mhm.
this. And I said, well, one way or the other, I'd want to make sure that I was settled with myself, and I want to make sure my fees are in place. And in the
Mhm.
back of my head, I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that. I don't. Two things. I don't want to do it, because I
Right.
don't. My whole point of doing this thing, and literally, it's. I had to make a phone call the other night, and I said, I'm done at 5. I will call you at 5:01. I'm
Right.
like, literally, I could do that.
Mhm.
Um, and then the second thing, I'm like, it's not worth $150. It's
Right.
just not.
Mhm.
But I think I can. I don't know. I'll deal with it when it comes up. But I don't want to have control of my personal life, and I don't want to be, because that's what it is when you're a management type of thing. It is
Mhm.
you're in control of other people and
Right.
circumstances, and
Mhm.
I'm too. I was going to say too old. I'm not. I'm just too tired.
Right.
And from a work standpoint, to want to do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, not interested. No, thank you.
Right, but I know you talked about having that opportunity, which I
Yeah.
think would be cool for you. But I think, I don't even know. Is it a different circumstance? I mean, because when I look at it, where it could affect my income for me to do something like that.
Right.
Because I mean, if it takes me off the phone and I got to do all these
Mhm.
different things, and then whatever. But basically, you're a ride along, right? I mean, I'm not trying to minimize what it is
Right.
that you
No,
might
no,
be
no.
doing,
Well,
but
yeah, there's some of that, and there's some in-house trading and stuff you would do. Yeah, and you get paid for it, so it's no, it really wouldn't. It would, little more money here and there, not a lot, and certainly it's maybe it would probably average out to like maybe a few hours every month.
right,
Yeah, it's not a big deal. It would just be when there is some opportunities to make a little more money and, a little something different. And yeah, I mean, other than me going, yeah, I'd be possibly interested in it. That's about as far as it's gone right now, and that's fine with me. When
right.
yeah, when they come to me and they go, hey, we are looking for another trainer, you would look for, express some interest in that, then we'll go from there. But yeah, right now it's just whatever.
Right.
It's, a possibility, maybe.
Well, and because I do the math on what $150 does to me, and
Hmm.
I do the math backwards as far as what it's really. I mean, $150 is $150. I mean, don't get
Sure.
me wrong, but it's, again, for what I might miss out on if it's 2-3 hours a month or something like that, three
Hmm.
four hours a month, depending on if it's more than one person you're kind of working with, or whatever it is. I could lose out on maybe $200 or
Right.
$300. I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
And again, I don't want the responsibility anymore. I just don't. But I mean, that goes back to this. I don't want the responsibility of trying to control my personal life,
Hmm.
and to be a controlling person. And I don't know, for anyone out there that is kind of shaking their head, well, what do you guys mean you don't control your personal life? It's just a matter of, yes, we have to get out there and do we got to do the work. We got to do the things. We got to keep ourselves, moving every day, and obviously alive. We have to feed
Hmm.
ourselves,
Sure.
get to sleep, do all this. But
Yeah. Wipe
there's
our
a,
asses.
exactly, that helps every once in a while.
Hmm.
But there's a different story of, again, operating as a normal human being, or out there trying to control the entire fucking universe.
Right.
It's exhausting.
Hmm.
Just fucking exhausting. Um, but the first thing that it started out with was, and I think it said something about the alcoholic, if I remember correctly, cannot stay sober on the basis of self knowledge. I
Right.
believe I
Hmm.
just wrote down basis of self knowledge, but I think that was the whole thing. Um, so what you're saying is we can't we can't figure this out on our own. Is that right?
Yeah,
Something along
yeah, and right, and I mean, yeah, I knew for a long time I was an alcoholic. So fucking what? Didn't stop me from drinking. I mean, yeah, I have this disease, I have this allergy. I don't metabolize alcohol like a normal person, or drugs or whatever. I have this addictive personality. I knew all that shit. Didn't stop me. Yeah, I couldn't stop just from having that knowledge, knowing that about myself. I couldn't stop. I still had to pick up every fucking day.
right? Yeah, and I was kind of on the other spectrum.
Mm.
I was 100% complete denial. I'm like, oh, because literally, I've said it probably 100 times over the last 3 years. But the only thing I ever admitted to myself was that at some point I was gonna, and literally, I remember thinking to myself, oh, you're gonna have to calm down,
Uh-huh.
change your evil ways, type of thing.
Mm.
Settle down a little bit.
Sure.
I never thought to myself, Jesus, dude, you're a fucking raging alcoholic. And it's probably as I'm fucking, taking shots of whiskey in the morning, putting my contacts in,
Hmm.
and still not thinking that I might have an issue.
No.
Delusional.
Right. Of
Fucking
course.
delusional. And then, of course, surrender. I think one of
Hmm.
our favorite words. I think it's a favorite
Yeah,
word of ours.
it is.
And obviously surrendering to anything and everything, right?
Right. Right. Surrendering to the fact that we are powerless over the substances, surrendering to the fact that we are not in control of everything, surrendering to the fact that we don't have the fucking answers to everything. Right.
Not even the answers to everything. I don't know. It's just hardly anything.
Right. Very few things. I got a couple answers, but
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Every once in a
you
while,
know,
answers pop up out of my head, but yeah,
right. After 15 years, we should have at least 3 or 4 answers.
right,
But
right.
but that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. Can we generalize and say we have a handful of answers at least?
We can.
Okay,
We
good.
can. Yes, those 5 fingers.
So, and I don't want to. Well, two things. I had a side thought on this, and then it was brought up another thing in the reading. But I don't want to like jump away from the reading if you have any other thoughts on it. But any
Mm.
other thoughts on the reading itself, or in general, or no?
I mean, no, just other than the fact that, again, we are not in control. We need something bigger than ourselves, and always have to say it. Whatever that thing is, we need to be a part of it, and we need to do its work. Faith without works is dead. Um, right. So I mean, we have to be a part of that thing that is bigger than us. That's the only way it works. We can, you can sit there and believe all you want in whatever kind of thing that you believe in, but if you're not a part of it and doing its work, it's fucking worthless. Kind of like the self-knowledge. I know all this stuff about myself, so fucking what? Did I lose you? Are you gone? Uh-oh, I think we
Oh, no,
lost.
no, no. Oh, I'm
There
sorry
he
about that.
is.
No, what's funny is I was over and I flipped over another screen to look something up, and I hit the mute button because I just cleared my throat real quick, and I thought I unmuted. So
Ah,
sorry about that.
no
But
worries.
no, the only thing I was
Just having a flashback of the fucking old software we had.
no. So and let's stop here and just congratulate Zencaster. This episode is brought to you by Zencaster.
Right.
And
That works perfectly well until we push the wrong fucking button.
right. I was just going to say there's been 2 times that this well, probably more. There's been 2 situations where this software is messed up.
Mm.
Both of them had nothing to do with the software. Internet loss the one time.
Right.
We had a guest on at that time, and I forget when that was, but
I don't know.
I popped out for a minute, and then yeah, when I like that, I hit the mute button, and I forgot I thought I clicked it back on before I flipped into another screen. So
Thinking again.
I know, yeah, but Zencaster, I can't say it enough. I mean, it is fucking wonderful, and
Mhm.
it's so goddamn simple, and everything. It's so easy to use, and everything that I need to do on my end, again, very very easy, and all that stuff. So,
Zencaster.com for all your podcasting needs.
and it is Zencaster without the E. They're too fucking cool to even have an E at the end.
That's
Just
right.
Zencaster.
Right.
But what I was going to say is that you brought up a couple of times and made the distinction of when it said higher power, and you said power greater than yourself. And I'm glad you
Yep.
said that because, seriously, I don't think about that as much
Mm.
when I'm doing readings and things like that.
Right.
Although in today's 24-hour book,
Yeah, they've been pushing that hard, haven't they?
it was either today or yesterday. And I'm
I
not
think
shitting
both.
you. It was like there was 15.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and these are short fucking readings, and I'm just
Right.
like, holy hell,
Right.
lots of God in this goddamn thing.
Yup.
But I don't think about it too much, the whole higher power thing. But seriously, that kind of reinforces, I mean, kind of, it does, it reinforces what we talk about as far as, you've talked about more, I guess, more
Mm.
specifically. And then I agree with you that, we don't have to, we don't have to have this thing. It's just got to be, like I don't know, an object or a
Yeah.
person or a
Mm.
whatever. It doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
a him or an it. It could just be,
Yeah.
it's a power greater than ourselves. And you've
Mm-hmm.
explained it with what the group and, the
Right.
love and all those
Yep.
different things. And I like that. And I hope people pick up on that, even if I don't make a point of it, because, literally, I think it's comforting. And I do remember, not specifically who, but I remember people talking about that and making a point of it when we first got, into the
Mm-hmm.
Keating Center and stuff,
Yep.
of just letting us know that it doesn't, again, it doesn't have to pinpoint to a thing. It's
Right.
just, it's not me. There's something out there, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the thing is, the
Something
aura.
bigger than you.
Yeah, there's a power greater than me. That is
Yeah.
fucking it.
That's it. Something that's not just my individual little fucked up head.
Well, you kind of have a big head a little bit,
Oh, whatever. Yeah, well, what's inside of it isn't all that big.
Right. You got a little thing in there rattling around that
Yep.
big old fucking dome. Fucking
BB in a
five.
boxcar.
I was gonna say a 5-gallon bucket with a pebble in it, but yeah, I like BB in a boxcar better. It's even more descriptive. But okay, so cool. So the thing that I wrote down, and actually the side thought that I had, and I'm glad the reading talked about it, was, turning it over. Okay, which obviously goes along with the third step. Which, guess what?
Right.
It's the third month of the year.
That's right.
And I mean, I know we're not specifically anymore going through steps and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
the third step itself, and I thought about it the other day, probably around the time that I was reading it in one of the books.
Right.
Um, but I think, I know for me, it was, I don't even know. I don't know if difficult or mysterious or whatever the case was when it came to the third
Mm-hmm.
step. I didn't know how to, again, back to this whole work it thing, because it says made the decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of whatever, as we
Mm-hmm.
understand it, or whatever it is.
Right.
So in the first couple of ones, I mean, granted, obviously step one, we know, admitted and blah, blah, blah. Step two, realizing, that there is something out there. But
Uh,
then, I mean, I don't know, did you, and we've talked about this before, I'm sure. I know we
mm.
have. But do you remember, was that hard for you to be the third step, making that decision, or doing it, or
No, not really. I mean, well,
well,
I mean, I mean, well, I pretty sure I told the story on here probably a long time ago, in one of the early episodes, when you can't hear us.
right.
um, but, yeah, I mean, I had a day off. I was already past I was in, what was it? Looking for work,
Right.
LFW, right? Looking for
Right.
women. Um,
Looking for whores.
right. And,
Whores.
but anyway, yeah. So we were at the Keating Center and we were no longer halfway. We didn't have to do group. We were supposed to be out looking for work. That was kind of what it was. But anyway, I had day off and I went down to the zoo and I was going to, commune with nature and look at creation and all these different things and kind of do my third step that way. And I got down there and I was down there for about a half an hour. Marty called me and said, "Get back. I got a job for you." I went,
Right.
"All right, well, there you go. I am not in control. There is something bigger than me telling me what to do." And I went, "Yep, there's my third step." And off I went and painted some shit somewhere or something. Um,
Moved some shit or painted some
right.
shit, or
Something.
yeah, something like. And I'm sure it, when I know when you told the story, I told mine too, that I have no fucking idea what I did, and I remember people talking about that, going someplace and making this
Mm-hmm.
thing and going in front of either a church or a statue
Right.
or whatever, or
Right.
again, like you, whether it's the zoo or going out in nature or whatever. And I'm like, I don't for the life of me remember what I did. I mean, I know that I worked the step. I mean, I accepted
Sure.
the fact that, hey, I understand what it means.
Right.
I can't take this fucking, this self will run riot thing anymore. I can't have that
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Right.
And I've got to say, I've got to let this shit lie. Um, but thankfully, I had lessons along the way that taught me,
Mm-hmm.
gently. taught me
Yes.
or reminded me,
Mm-hmm.
that it was outside of my will.
Or
That's when
occasionally not so gently.
yeah. Well, and you know what? I don't remember any really harsh lessons during that
Mm-hmm.
first, like
Right.
90 days to 6 months. It
Right.
was just I started to get that uncomfortable feeling
Mm-hmm.
if I felt like I shouldn't do something,
Right.
that that 6 cents or whatever the fuck that is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, getting the new phone, mom and I running around, and I felt like I was pushing. I'm like, I got to back off. I didn't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but these little things like that. So I don't know when it's still when you. I mean, I accept obviously clearly the third step. Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not clearly that I do,
Mm.
but I do. I got 15 years of practice almost at
You
this thing,
said
but
do.
I do. But it's still kind of weird because the mindset, like we were talking about before, the control thing,
Mm-hmm.
saying that turning our will over and our lives over to, whatever this power is that's greater than ourselves. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that we don't have to do anything.
Right.
We
Oh
still
yeah.
have to, do the work. We're still the vehicle. It's just when, all these fucked up thoughts in our mind, these fucked up decisions,
Mm-hmm.
we can't be the the fucked up individual we used to be.
Right.
We have to take other mental, if nothing else, take the mental direction of the things that we've been taught and in all those different things,
Mm-hmm.
over the years. But yeah, I don't know. It was just I remember it being I can't even think of the way to put it. It was a weird concept to me, and I didn't know how. Maybe I didn't even really understand the whole concept of working all this shit. Anyhow, again, the
Sure.
working, the action part of it. I'm
Yeah,
like, how do you
right,
work this?
exactly. Well, I mean, I say it kind of jokingly, but not really. I mean, I do the first three steps before I get out of bed in the morning. I mean, those
Right.
steps get worked every fucking day. And clearly I'm better at them now and they've changed and yeah, but this is, whatever. If you have some concept of I'm going to go and kneel and say the third step prayer and I'm done with this step, you're fucking wrong, man. Cause
Right.
yeah, I got to make that decision usually several times a day because I I try to take shit back all the time,
Right.
and I've got to go. Whoa, nope, nope. Got to make that decision, that conscious decision. I'm not in control of this shit. There's something bigger than me running this crap.
Right. Yeah, and it is. I mean, I do the same thing. I mean, I do my prayers. Part of the end of my prayers, and we talk about it quite a bit. When you say that that you don't run your own life, the
Mm-hmm.
principles, these good people, all these different things, and
Yep.
I mean, just in my prayers, I end off, like the last section of my prayers always says, and without you, my life is unmanageable. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you meaning this power greater than myself, and I
Right.
mean, right there, that's saying that I'm not in control, and I
Mm-hmm.
started doing that back when we were walking the mile.
Right.
Those words, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't again, we've mentioned it before. I have no fucking idea where I came up with this stuff. Heard enough from some people,
Mm-hmm.
heard enough from plenty of people,
Right.
where I put together this string of things that I do. But it's really important and it hasn't changed in literally almost 15 years, which
Yeah.
is, when I think about it, I mean, that's fucking mind blowing. I mean, it is, right? I mean,
Right. Oh, absolutely.
it's
And
just
I mean,
fucking
that's kind of the action. How has my fucking shit changed? And
right,
that's it right there. We've incorporated this stuff into our lives and how can it not change? How can we not be different people than we were 15 years ago
right,
to the day?
yeah.
Right. The beginning of March before we got there in April, all kinds of fucked up.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
Yo.
This what day is it today? Yeah, March. Well, it's coming up on my on my last drink that lasted for 31 days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because or 30, yeah, 31. Yeah, 33. I'm sorry, 33 days. Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
our dad died on the 14th, and then I
Crawled into a
yeah,
bottle.
yeah, and I made my way in. Well, I made my way. I entered detox on the 17th of March or April. So
Yep.
yeah, and it's I mean, I was bad. I was bad to begin with, but yeah, I was I was
Mm-hmm.
I was all kinds of I was a whole new kind of bad for 33 days. Yeah, what was your last drink? Well, it started on what time was that? Yeah. But yeah, dark fucking month, dark fucking 33 days. That's for goddamn sure. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, okay. So third step. I mean, I just like I said, it crossed my mind the other day, and
Mm-hmm.
I figured it'd be worth it to, I don't know, just kind of dip into it again. It never hurts to, talk about
Right.
some of that shit, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's it's waking up at the edge of the cliff, man. Make that
Right,
fucking decision every day.
right. So actually, I went through this list over the last weekend and kind of tried to clean out some. I had so much. I had not only well, not really garbage on here, but a lot of repeats and things like that on my like
Mm-hmm.
list of things and whatever. But yeah, it was kind of funny. I mean, I don't know, it was probably a lot of garbage on here. So um, one from God grant me. It's the most unhappy people that fear change. Do you agree?
Oh yeah.
And real quick as a side note, the reading went on to say that it would seem that unhappy people would want change,
Mm,
but we don't change because of fear. So
right.
still, does that line up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, right. I hate everything that's the way it is right now, but I'm fucking used to it. So, right. It's fear. What if I fucking change and it's worse? Right. It clearly it won't be, but that's why you're laughing because we
Right.
know better now. But when you're in that shit, right. Again, the phrase "comfortable sitting in my own shit." you know you're comfortable, you're sitting in shit, you're sitting in your own shit, but you're comfortable. And we don't want to. That's the whole point of being an alcoholic and a drug addict. We're trying to make ourselves comfortable all the time.
Yeah, and it's yeah, you're right. The reason I laughed is because it's such a ridiculous fucking
Of
statement.
course.
What if it's worse? And I started thinking about it, as far as now, I don't necessarily think about um I don't really worry about things making a decision and having things get worse. I do
Mm-hmm.
think of I don't want to say, well, I guess maybe the thing that could happen in a negative sense, or if I make a decision, it could go in one direction or another, or it could be kind of medium. I don't necessarily look at it as good and bad, but if it goes off, if I'm looking for it to go to the left and it goes off to the right instead,
Right.
um, can I deal with it? Is it life changing? Am I going against my ideals and my principles? Am I not going to be able to pay my bills?
Right.
I mean, life things like that. And so I look at that part, but that's practical. That's not really looking at, I don't want to do this because what if I end up in worse shape type of thing, But yeah, what a fucked up way to live.
Right. Well, and I mean, and I mean, we don't, again, that kind of that psychic change that happens to us, we don't have that fear anymore because we have this faith, for lack of a better word, that, yes, I'm going to change and it's going to be different and I don't know what the fuck it is, but I've been through enough change that I know that it's gonna be okay no matter what fucking happens. Even if it gets shitty for a while, it's still gonna get better eventually. That's that faith that we have because we put this thing into action for so long that we know, yeah, we might be uncomfortable for a while. It might even get a little shitty for a while, but it's gonna be okay because we know it is just from practical use of this thing.
Well, and that's the other thing too. That yeah, I mean, it's not like we're not going to have because we've talked about it openly. I mean, it's still life. It's life on life's terms and all those
Mm-hmm.
different things. It doesn't just because we're living this magical, this magical, free life and freedom and blah blah blah.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that weird shit doesn't happen. We talk about it enough, but I
Mm-hmm.
think two things: that the mindset that we have of bad moments versus bad days. I think that's a huge, at least for me, that's huge.
Right.
Because it's a it doesn't allow for me, it doesn't allow a low to ever get too low because
Right.
I know it's a moment that
Right.
this too shall pass.
And again, yeah, the you said low. I heard load, and the load doesn't get too fucking heavy.
Right? No,
Right.
I knew where you were going with that, and I for once wasn't thinking like disgusting on it. But no, it's kind of funny, but yeah, it's either way, not too low or the load, not getting too heavy, and I also know too, because I say it to myself, if I'm going through, this again, a time when I feel loaded down or a low
Mm-hmm.
time,
Sure.
um, I I literally say to myself, first of all, I don't know why this is happening. There's got to be a reason. Whatever it is, I can deal with it, and I know I'm going to learn something from this.
Right.
I don't like it today.
No,
whatever I'm dealing with, but somehow, some way, I'm going to fucking learn something from this. I'm like, fine, give it to me then. What fucking ever?
Yeah.
Which again, but the main thing is knowing that, like you said, it's going to get better. And we know we can handle it. Whatever it is. Right.
Yeah. One way or another, we're going to get through it, and we also know that we have people and experiences and whatever, man. Again, that power greater than ourselves, whatever it is, whether it's the group or, your magical guy in the sky or whatever the fuck it is, man, you're going to get through it because you're not alone anymore.
Right. True. Okay, one more quick one, and then we'll take a break. This is digging back here, and I just ran across this one. So, this was back from my book, A Day at a Time. When it comes to pride, do I believe in Emerson's words that it is impossible for a man to be cheated by anyone but himself?
Yes, I believe in that. Right. Nobody can fucking cheat me but me. Nobody can, again, it's all of that personal responsibility shit, Nothing bad can happen to me except by my own doing. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Yeah, I'm responsible for all of it. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever. And yes, no one can do anything to me. Nobody can make me feel fucking wonderful. I can, people can make me happy. I can be happy to be around other people, but my happiness does not depend on other people any more than my misery depends on other people. No one can make me miserable. Nobody can ruin my life. Only I can do that.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that. You're walking down the street and somebody, you get a fucking nut punch from somebody, and that we had responsibility in that for some goddamn reason. Why did I walk down that street? Why wasn't I watching? What was I doing at the time? Same thing. If you're cheated or whatever the case is, or somebody makes you mad or somebody makes you happy, why were you there? Why were you in the circumstance? Backtrack a little bit and figure out, where you fucked up.
Yep.
Where did you make the mistake, motherfucker? Oh, real quick on the fuck part, we were over like 150 again last week, I think.
Nice.
And the thing of it is, I'm like, again, nothing out of the ordinary with these episodes. There's nothing. I mean, we're not mad. We're not ranting about shit. Speaking of ranting, hang on one second. I got to write down the word politics. I'm not going to get too political. I got to bring up I don't have to. I'm going to bring up a couple of things, but I'll wait until after the break. So
okay, that's called a tease in the business.
I got some other things too. I got a new phone too. I got to tell you about that. Tell you about that experience, but yeah, I don't know. We say a lot of fucks, but on that note, Mike, what do you think?
Well, it sounds like a good time to take a fucking break, and we'll be right back after these words from our fucking sponsors.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi there.
Yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
At least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And
They
once
are.
again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com.
.com.
Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back. You know, it's probably a good goddamn thing that these sponsors hopefully never listen to our episodes.
I was going to say, right, yeah, there's fucking Indeed or whatever. They appreciate that. Whatever kind of bullshit they're playing through our podcast.
Have you heard our ads? The ads are running there?
Not now. I don't listen to this shit. You know that.
No, I didn't think so, but Indeed is one of the ones that.
I'm sure. Right. Yeah.
Advertises with us.
Just a huge. Actually, what made me think of it? God, was it? I think it was Family Guy. I just happened to have on the other night, and they were doing some podcast thing, and he was, they're like trying to be serious on some subject, and Peter keeps throwing in the ads, and one was, Indeed is overestimated the amount of people who listen to podcasts that are actually in a position to hire people. Yup. I laughed my ass off on that one.
Yeah, and it is Indeed is one, and I'm trying to think. God, there's a couple other ones that are common. I can't think of the other ones, but yeah, they're all, they're positive ads. You're like, yeah, our fucking sponsors. Hi, what about looking to hire people after we come into our fucking sponsors? But no, I appreciate that. So okay, so real quick, a couple of things with just the political thing, and this is in general, all politicians. I think that I know I've made it pretty clear. I don't like any one of them.
Right.
I think they're all evil. Well, not even evil. That's I'm not an evil kind of guy. I think they're criminals. I think they're assholes.
Yeah, grifters and out for themselves, and con men, and all of them, and women. Let's not forget them.
I mean, all of them, all the men, all the women, from state, to local to federal, every fucking one of them. I wouldn't trust them for anything.
Right.
There's literally only one politician I ever had respect for, and it was Tommy Thompson was the governor of Wisconsin for fucking years, and he really did. He was a Republican, number one, in a Democratic state for years, which is kind of mind blowing to begin with. And like Scott Walker was in there, and everyone fucking hated him, but everyone loved Tommy Thompson. He did things. He, this welfare back to work and all these different things. Didn't just cut people off, actually got people back to work. Did a really good thing. That was like one of his big staple things, but just in general, a good dude,
Right.
But the guy that's in there now, and I did not watch whatever his speech was the other night. I didn't, but they played a clip on the morning show. It's just kind of funny. So it could have been him. It could have been Barack. It could have been Bill Clinton. It could have been probably John F. Kennedy for for whatever it is. But sitting up there talking about the people on the other side of the aisle. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, I could cure this. I could help this vaccine, whatever. I was never going to get them to smile or clap or whatever. And I'm listening to this clip on the radio. I'm like, nobody does. It could be, I mean, the Republicans are the same way. The Republicans, the Democrats, the Republicans, they're like fucking children during these speeches. It could be something, a politician, surprisingly enough, maybe does something wonderful. I don't know when it's happened, but, if it's ever happened that, the other side can't get behind them, like, you people are fucking infants, That's number one. But the other thing that I heard, it was a news story. They were talking about, the whole thing going on with the government waste and cutbacks and all that thing. I'm of the firm opinion that there's government waste out there. I have no doubt that there's money spent.
Really?
Again,
I mean, I've got several $500 hammers in my junk drawer.
Right. So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, waste and whatever, and them doing cutbacks are fine. But I mean, some of this stuff's being done blindly or whatever. National parks are one thing that they're hitting pretty hard. So it'll
Mm,
be interesting, going out, the summer and seeing some of the trails could be fucked up and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
mm,
But they were talking about apparently there's like 4 or 500. And this is just like of buildings that are empty,
mm-hmm.
that are not even being used for years now, probably, I'm sure, since the pandemic,
Right.
that finally they're going to try to sell them. And I'm like, well, thank fucking God. I mean, who knows what kind of money and what these buildings are that are just out there and they're empty. They're
Right.
fucking empty. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, every goddamn one of us is paying for these fucking. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And again, it has nothing to do with the guy that's in there, the guy that was just in there, all this different stuff. Everyone knows that they're there
Right.
for fucking years. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's fucking,
Well,
I don't know, this
mm,
waste. Then we
yeah.
wonder why eggs are expensive, right?
Well, that's, bird
that's
flu,
a
but
that's a
yeah.
whole other thing. But you wonder why all these different things. I don't know why we're paying so much in whatever it is, income taxes and blah 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 and all this different stuff.
Mm.
So, but anyhow, so that was it. That was my politics thing.
All
So enough
right.
about that.
Sorry,
It's just,
kids.
yeah, I know. I was mind blown. I was fucking mind blown. All right, so this one was from God Grant Me, and I'll talk about my phone thing in a minute. Um, God grant me, being responsible for those that are still suffering. What does that mean to you, and to what extent are you willing to go to be there for the still suffering? Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
specifically, and I know we've talked about service work and all this sort of things, but I'm trying to. And God grant me was talking about, again, I don't want to say the extreme, but maybe. So once again, being responsible for those still suffering, and then maybe your or our question is, to what extent are you willing to be there for the still suffering?
Right. Well, um, just I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it, right? I mean, I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm active in my home group. I have a service position. I help to keep the doors open in a specific meeting. Um, that's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to get up off my ass on a Sunday night, go sit in a church basement, and be there for people who want to come into that door and get some help. Um, yeah, and that's the extent of it. That's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to keep a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous going. That's all I can do. I'm not willing to go drag people off bar stools, go pull them out of fucking trap houses, because that's worthless.
Right.
I'm willing to do something that can possibly, not necessarily, but possibly help someone if they're willing to to be open to getting some help. Yeah, that's the extent of it. It's all I can do. That's all that was done for me. There were meetings open by good men and women. They kept the doors open to keep that meeting going so I could walk in there and go, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right.
That's yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm willing to do.
Yeah, and the reason I wrote that down, and I mean, it's kind of simplistic, but then again, it made me think to a certain extent, and I kind of shut my brain down then when I wrote it down, whatever it
Hmm.
was. But as I'm thinking now, it's like, okay, so I mean, I know people that, again, start their own groups. There's
Sure.
people that, do podcasts and actually do online meetings. That would take a lot of fucking work. It's not that thought hadn't crossed my mind. I'm like, that'd be kind of cool. And I'm like, I don't know, I want to do that. I don't know that I
Right.
want to go to that extent,
Yeah.
because then the sideline thought was that is then, okay, so what is that meeting about? Is it a meeting? Then we got to worry about that.
Hmm.
Basically, what are we doing in the literally then in the name? And I'm like, it's too fucking much.
Right.
I don't want to blend and smear and blur all these things
Right.
together.
No, we
um
can't.
right. And then I know people go, people go to prisons, people go to detox centers, people go to those certain things.
Right.
And here's the thing, and as I thought about it, like you when you were talking, I would have no issue whatsoever. Even now, I have nothing against meetings. I talk about that all the time. I don't
Hmm.
go to a lot of meetings,
Right.
any usually unless I'm in Cleveland.
Right.
Um, but I'm number one not opposed to it. But the other thing is that I guess the extent I'm willing to go to is I need to be ready and available when asked to do anything at any point.
Right.
And
Yeah.
literally, I need to be ready for that phone call. I need to be ready for like, I mean, whatever it was. When did I leave for you? End of September, right? And you were just like, you're like, hey, what are you doing the last
Right.
weekend in September? I'm like, well, what do you need me to be doing?
Right. Exactly.
And I mean, I have the ability to be out there. So I did it. I went, hung out with you for a week, and I
Yeah.
led at your home group.
Right.
And we were asked to go to the retreat, with Mara. Things like that. And if somebody, I think it would be interesting to go and speak in a prison.
Right.
It would be interesting. I got asked a number of years ago to go help lead a group in a detox meeting in a hospital. I jumped at that chance. It was fucking
Right.
wonderful.
Yeah, I bet.
It was late-ish on a weeknight, which I'm like, that
Right.
that our typical thing is like, oh fuck,
Of course.
man.
Of course.
But I don't know what anything like that. But yeah, I guess that's the point. If nothing else, we have to be. And I guess I'm trying to make myself feel better because I don't do things all the time.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, you hit it, man. It's being ready and being willing if asked.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not chasing anybody down. That we were taught that was the way we were taught, because it's a waste of fucking time. I'm not chasing anybody,
Right.
come to me if you ask me if you want help. I absolutely am always willing to do it, but I'm not chasing anybody. I'm cool where I'm at. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the help that I was given, and I am absolutely willing to give that help again if asked. But I have to be asked. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? Again, that self-knowledge shit, man. I knew I was a mess. Somebody came up to me and tried to lay some shit on me when I was in that mess. It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have done anything. Yes, I would have some knowledge about myself that this person imparted on me, and it would be fucking worthless.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? With the exception of my my DUI, my drunk classes that I went
Right.
to, I never had a circumstance where anyone, well, except towards the end, Kathy mentioned it, but that was at like the last Christmas and whatever before I got sober. But I mean, that was a fucking mess. That was a different story. But I mean, yeah, that was same thing. That fucking counselor. What's your plan? Like, oh, do this and do that. Oh, listen, everyone.
Right.
Bill's gonna try to control his drinking. And seriously, in my head, I'm like, you fucking whore. You fucking whore. And like you said, I think when the first time I told that story, you're like, yeah, how dare somebody call me out?
Exactly.
And I think back on it now. I mean, it's not even maybe what it was. That's exactly what it fucking was.
Of course it was. Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you're not again willing to take that information in and do something with it, it's fucking worthless.
Right. Yeah, that was 90. It would have been probably spring of spring of 95. I think when I was going through summer of 95 when I was going through those drunk classes. And if anyone's doing the math, I didn't get sober until 2010.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't quite stick. Let's put it that way. But funny thing. Speaking of drunk classes, there's an ad for Schneider trucks. They're hiring people and whatever. And the ad starts off, attention truck drivers. Okay. The first time I heard it, now I can't unhear it. I thought it said attention drunk drivers. And I'm like, what? Because again, I'm listening to the morning show, the radio show. It's on TuneIn. It runs ads and attention drunk drivers. Then it's like, and then the ad goes into, are you ready to start a new career? And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, Schneider is, I'm like, oh, truck drivers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They're a Wisconsin company. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you and I talked about that some years ago because I think that, I mean, I'd never heard any bad things about them. I'm sure you've better heard, things about them or whatever. But I think the only thing that you said at the time was you said they govern their engines or something like that.
Right. Which, well, so does JB Hunt.
Yeah, I guess, you're under the big umbrella now again. So I guess
which is fine. I like being under the big umbrella. I'll take the small negatives over the huge positives or something like that. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. But no, it's just so stupid. I again, where's my mind at all the time, right? Hey, drunk drivers,
Hey.
time to start a new career. The fuck? I don't want to. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
got your attention.
Exactly. All right. So speaking of, hey, look at this. This has something to do with drinking.
All right.
From 24 hours, the reading was talking about the tolerance point. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And once we pass it, we become alcoholics. Blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
So, my question for you, and I don't know if we ever talked about this. Do you have any idea when you passed that point, that tolerance point? The point of no return type of thing. And I,
Right. I mean, I don't believe in that shit.
oh really?
I
Okay.
never have. No, 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 no. I was fucking alcoholic long before I took a drink. And yeah, I never tolerated it. I always drank to get drunk. I drank for the effect, blah, 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 blah. I've always been an alcoholic. There's no crossover. I was born an alcoholic. I was born a drug addict. Yeah, that's me, whatever.
Right.
I can have, again, it's the delusions and the fucking nonsense in my head that'll try to tell me, oh no, 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 there was a point where you were handling it. There was a point in your life where, if you would have stopped then, everything would have been all right. No, 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 no. I was a liar, cheat, and a thief. Again, big book shit, man. Alcohol is just a symptom. It's just, whatever the substance is just a symptom. It's our fucked up heads and our fucked up way we look at life and our selfishness and our self-centeredness. That is the root of our problem. And yeah, I don't believe in any of that crap. If it works for you, fine. Doesn't work for me.
Right. But no, I mean, I agree 100% with everything you said. I think that I don't even think I know that I am who I am and was who I was from that standpoint. I think from day fucking one. But do you? And this is the part that I have a question about. This is the way I didn't look at it so much in that part. I looked at it from the physical side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So like do you think, or do you? Because I mean, there's plenty of talk about that. The physical part where at a certain point you do cross a physical line, right?
Oh,
Like a
sure.
physical addiction,
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Again, lots of substances.
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you fucking use whatever that substance is every day. It changes your chemical makeup and you become physically addicted to it.
Right,
Absolutely. Right. And there's plenty of times, where I stopped using a substance and was no longer physically addicted to it. And then went back and got physically addicted again. Yeah, with alcohol too, same thing. Yeah, unless I have some defense against that first one, I'm going to get physically addicted to something because I won't stop. But that's
right,
the mental shit. That's the mental obsession that gets me to the physical. The mental shit was my fucked up head is there long before I make my body physically addicted to some random substance.
right. No, and that's the thing. I agree with that. Like I said, I was looking at more of the physical side of things, and I don't disagree with anything you said about the mental side of things. That I was just kind of curious. I don't think we ever talked about the physical side of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any way to tell. I think it's an unanswerable question as far as
Right.
when the physical addiction started. Because I mean, I can think back to, I mean, shit, even back to my DUI days. When I used to
Mm-hmm.
go to conferences and things like that. You wake up the next day. I mean, yeah, you're hungover, but
Right.
even throughout the day, and when I'm in these meetings and stuff like that, I'm hot. I feel fucking sweaty, and
Right.
then I feel better. When I start drinking that night. So
Of course.
I think my physical addiction was there fucking years ago. You
Right.
know,
Oh yeah.
um, easily years. And I mean, God, 20 years before I quit
Sure.
drinking.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which again, no way to pinpoint it, but all the other stuff I agree with you 100%. That I same deal. I never, even as a child, whether it was alcohol, I mean, I was always seemed to be like I was obsessed with something or had
Mm-hmm.
that nature,
Right.
whatever they call it, the addictive or alcoholic that nature or tendencies or blah blah blah.
Right.
So
Personality.
personality, yep, all of it, and the same thing. We can still have it these days. Plenty of people. And I
Oh
think that
yeah.
was something I had written down at one point that I might have taken off the list, but. People get addicted to other things,
Sure.
once they get sobered up, and
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we talked about
food and
that. Yeah.
sex and work and shopping and sugar and all kinds of
Gambling.
right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just this fucking symptom.
Right.
If you don't get to the root cause of the problem, you're just gonna fucking fill that hole with something else.
Speaking of sex.
Yeah, fill that hole.
That whole something else. Hey, look what I found, honey. What is that? Never mind.
I'm
Never
just
mind.
filling my hole.
I just got a hold of Phil. That's all. All right. So, this might have been recent. Let's see. God grant me. We are both the dark and the light, the ugly and the beautiful. Recovery gives us the gift of free will. Okay. So
Hmm.
in my parentheses, I said, "What? Well, what is that mean to you? What does that mean to you?
Uh-huh.
The ugly and the beautiful, the dark and the light. It says that it says we are both. Obviously, both of those things.
Sure.
What does I don't know. What does that? What does that mean to you? That always sounds stupid when I say that, but I can say it. So, Mike, what does that mean to you? I feel like a
Well, Bill,
psychiatrist.
let me tell you. Yeah, we're capable of both good and bad. I always like there's two wolves that live inside of us, right?
Right.
Good one and bad one. Which one are you gonna feed? Whatever one you feed is the one that thrives and it
Right.
gets stronger and yeah. Um yeah, yeah, we're capable of both always. That's just the way human beings are built. I could be an awful person or I could be a good person. It's what I feed.
Right. Yeah, and it's kind of well, maybe it is scary sometimes, because I'm sure that you've had the moments. I know I have, when
Mm,
whatever it is, when you're sitting there and it's either I'm not saying that I feel like robbing a grocery store or anything like that. Not that letting that side of me go,
all right.
or letting that go, that part of me come out if that would be in there, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
just again when you're reacting to a situation or
Sure.
something really bad happens and you want to lash out. I mean, all
Right.
those different things, and catching, being having the ability to catch ourselves, so we don't have to be that,
Right.
that person these days.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
a
just
man.
keep thinking of driving my truck through a fucking daycare center, but all right. I don't know why, but
Right. I mean, that would be dark. That would be evil. Dark and
uh-huh.
evil.
Yes, it would. But I don't think I'll do that today.
Right.
No, I was having a conversation with Chris last weekend about, we were talking about some kind of heavier things, and it was like, I said, and I think I stole this from Penn Jillette, but I do exactly the amount of murdering and raping that I want to do, which is zero. I don't want to do either of those things. I mean, yes, I could fantasize. It would be nice to kill a couple motherfuckers that I could think of. But yes, I don't really want to do any of those things. So I don't, yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. I do the exact amount or percentage of or the amount of, I mean, I don't know, robbing and
Yes.
stealing and all that.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is, but I've never thought about it that way yet.
Yeah.
I want to do what I choose to do, and what I want to do today is I don't. Well, again, these fantasies about, yeah, like you said, kill a motherfucker. There's a couple.
Yeah.
And again, I hate use the word deserve, quote unquote, but the world might be better off without a couple of motherfuckers. But
Mm-hmm.
but then again, somebody might think the same about me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, you never know the whole story. Maybe there's something good in there because there's good in all of us, right? And
Right.
yeah, it's again being in control, not my fucking decision to take that motherfucker out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's not my place.
Somebody else's will, not yours.
Exactly. And as the great Jim Carrey said in that awful Batman movie when he was the Riddler, if you kill them, they don't learn nothing.
So, it's kind of funny, and this is I was going to read one other thing, but I'll do that in a minute. But this is a good segue into my new cell phone story
All
because
right.
so and I don't know if anyone that listens to us or looks at our pictures or anything like this ever thought about it, but for fucking years, I mean, literally to the point long before I got sober and certainly afterwards, plenty of times. The guy at the T-Mobile store when I was getting my new phone,
Mm-hmm.
driver's license, whatever, to set this stuff up, and he's looking at my license and looking at me. And he goes, "You realize?" He goes, "I'm getting kind of a bit of a Jim Carrey vibe from you." And he goes,
Mm.
"You probably heard that before." I'm like, I can't even count the number of times.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, who you look like? Yeah, I do. I understand because people have told me before.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, just kind of funny. But the whole thing. So first of all, and I'll start off. I'll jump the route right away. I've never had a positive experience at a cell phone store
Right.
until last weekend.
No.
And I spent 3 fucking hours there too. Two
Hmm.
hours and 49 minutes maybe, but it was goddamn, it was every bit of 3 hours. Okay.
Right.
So did I mentioned about the whole T-Mobile and the Super Bowl commercial and
Right.
the
Yeah. The
satellite?
satellite. Right. Yeah.
So that was my motivation behind it. And I called, made a couple of phone calls. A couple of weeks ago, I went into, like Verizon has them, T-Mobile has them, these authorized retailers, they're
Right.
not true company stores. They're,
Mm-hmm.
off stores.
Right.
And the one in Germantown, the Verizon store that's an authorized retailer, went there for years. They were always fucking wonderful. No issues. This fucking, knob at the one down in Valpo, had no idea what he was talking about. So I waited like 20 minutes. This was a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Waited like 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, ask him about the satellite, whatever. He's like, I'm not really, we haven't really learned about that much yet. I'm like,
Hmm.
and after waiting for 20 fucking minutes, tried to ask a couple of questions, like, fuck you. I came back here, I called customer service, got all the shit, all the information I needed. Then finally had a time. So went into the store, and this guy, if I had to guess, he might be in his, I don't know, mid-20s, something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Roughly in that area, cell
Right.
phone store working
Right.
guy. A lot of them are in
Exactly.
that, and
Yeah.
but right off the bat, start ask them questions, how it worked, all these different things. I got my daughter because again, Kimmy is still on my cell
Right.
phone,
Mm-hmm.
so I've got her phone, my phone, plus she's got a watch, a Samsung watch,
Mm-hmm.
making sure how do I get all this shit over here, what has to happen. Rough cost, blah blah blah. The guy answers all my questions. I'm like, okay, that's probably the first 20 minutes I'm asking questions
Right.
until I felt comfortable doing it. Because I'm like, she's in Wisconsin. I want to make sure she's not going to lose service right away.
Sure.
Any of these things.
Yeah.
So all said and done, I mean, Kimmy's phone came over. They paid that off for $380. They're going to send us like I don't want to say a gift card, but like a Visa card or something like that, so we
Right.
can pay off her phone. My phone, I got the Moto Edge again. My phone is free, so got that. Whatever package run right now. We get the satellite thing. Kimmy doesn't care about it right now, but
Sure.
regardless, it's free until July, until they'll start charging us,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be like $15 a line, I think, or something like that. Um, so we went the senior plan because again, yes, I qualify for the senior
Right.
plan to get the things that we need and blah blah blah. It's going to be, to begin with, it's going to be, I think, probably $35 a month less, maybe 30. Okay, than
Mm-hmm.
what I'm paying with Verizon. But
Right.
right now we have no phone payments. Okay.
Right.
So just Kimmy, usually the phone that she gets, a lot of times that's $27 a month. If I had a phone
Uh-huh.
on there, it'll end up, all said and done, probably end up spending the same amount of money, but and end up getting, obviously getting what I want and all that stuff. And the
Right.
biggest thing was transferring stuff over and whatever. But I told the guy, I said, you know what? I said, I told him about the authorized store, and he's like, yeah. He goes, we get a lot of complaints because I went to Maryville, is where I went to the store. He goes, the Portage store and the Valpo store. He goes, we get complaints about. He goes, He goes, they basically they get paid different than us, and he goes,
Mm-hmm.
they're only going to do things that are going to make them money like right now. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, well that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I thanked him. I think he got everything all set up for me. I had to actually FaceTime Kimmy through Facebook
Mm.
because she had to update something on her phone, and
Right.
I can't get a hold of her because the service
Right.
switched, right?
Right.
But I
Right.
mean, I gave her the heads up and the whole bit. She knew all this stuff was happening. But seriously, the guy was fucking wonderful. So if you're ever in, anyone out there, if you're ever in Maryville, Indiana, his name is Chris B at the T-Mobile store in Maryville on Highway
Hmm.
30. Seriously, the guy was fucking wonderful. I couldn't ask for anything. And yeah, it was 3 goddamn hours, but I went in there early enough. I'm like, whatever, man. If I'm there all fucking day, I'm there. I
Mm-hmm.
knew what had to get done. I
Right.
knew what had to get done. So yeah, I mean, now I'm a T-Mobile customer, and I just I got registered for the satellite thing. It's not, I don't think it's actually active yet, but
Hmm.
nothing new on my phone. I mean, it's a newer phone. It's It's fancier. That's all.
Right.
You know, actually a little bit smaller than what my other phone was, lengthwise or heightwise, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good, and I've never had a positive experience switching before, and I don't know. I wanted to bring it up simply for that because this shit it does happen. You can get a decent decent fucking service, which is just it surprises me more if I get bad service. It doesn't even phase me anymore because I expect
Right.
it,
Mm-hmm.
But when you get really good service from somebody, it's like Jesus Christ, man, this shit's
Yeah.
still out there, which is kind of
Right.
nice. All right. Back to what I was going to ask before, and this I wrote down a while ago. But since you're going out tomorrow night, were
Mm-hmm.
you socially awkward, or did you ever feel socially awkward when you first got sober or any point since? Like being sober and out in circumstances. Again, newly sober versus now.
I mean, yeah, still. I don't know. I've yeah, before, during, and after
Uh,
sobriety.
I did not expect that answer, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, again, one of the factors of why I use drugs and alcohol, to help me fit into society and feel comfortable around other people. It didn't work. I was still uncomfortable around people, even, I got fucked up enough and it was fine. I didn't care that I was uncomfortable around other people, but I was still uncomfortable, and still am. And it's fine. It doesn't fucking matter. Again, it comes back to, right, I'm not the fucking center of the universe. It doesn't goddamn matter. Okay, I'm a little uncomfortable. So fucking what? I'm still going to go out and have fun. And yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe not as much fun as another person. I don't know, because I'm not in their fucking heads. Maybe they're just as uncomfortable as I am. I don't fucking care.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Right. Yes. Of course I'm socially uncomfortable. I'm a goddamn alcoholic. I'm a freak. I'm a goddamn punk rocker, musician. I'm an artist. I'm fucking sensitive, man.
No, seriously, that's just because you know what? Here's the funny part is you don't strike me as being I've known you a couple of days,
Right.
you don't strike me as being socially uncomfortable or
Mm.
awkward feeling out in public. You never do. I mean,
Oh,
I know you don't necessarily want, you don't I don't know, you're not me.
right.
So you're not that extreme, but
Right.
I don't know, you just seem very comfortable in your own just out and about in whatever circumstance I've ever
Right.
seen you in. So it just that surprised me. I learned something new today, but yeah, and I think too, in like the side note I wrote down was, like not having your teammate around, your drugs, your alcohol, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And to begin with, I mean, granted, I was trying to think of um, I don't even remember the first couple of John. Where was it? Cousin. I was trying to think why oh, cousin Johnny's birthday when he turned
Mm-hmm.
must have been his 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to have been. So it was at the I think the country club area that John and Gail had or were
Mm-hmm.
members of.
Right.
And I remember when you walked into the place, it was nice. Edgewater, is that right?
Hey,
The
oh yeah.
Edgewater.
Well, we went down there for that whatever, Labor Day or whatever, something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when you drive in to go down to the park, right up on
Mm-hmm.
top is that's the club area.
Okay.
So they rented that for Johnny's birthday party.
Sure.
And it was funny because I remember walking in kind of like the foyer area. I'm sure they call it a foyer. It's not a foyer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In that place, it's a foyer. And then you walk straight ahead, and that's the bar area. Literally, it's like a open area, and then the bar to the back. Nice. I mean, really nice
Sure.
wood.
Right.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the left is like the banquet room, not huge, but decent size.
Right.
And that's where everything was set up. But what was funny is Derek was in town. The three people that weren't drinking that day were sitting in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Me, Kylie, and
Mm-hmm.
Derek.
Right. And they were
And
kids.
yeah, and they were kids, and I was a sober drunk in November
Right.
of end of November of 2010. So what,
Right.
7 months, 6 months, 7 months,
Mm-hmm. Right.
under my belt, and I think that was the first time I was in a drinking environment like that. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't uncomfortable because I was around family, whatever, but
Sure.
I specifically noticed. I mean, literally, I'm sitting in the bar
Right.
and not at the bar, at the table,
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was playing games with the kids or doing whatever.
Sure.
It's just random. I wasn't trying even to isolate or anything like that. Um, but I felt the difference at that point, and I
Right.
guess I felt the difference at Thanksgiving, but they did the dry Thanksgiving, but so certain
Mhm.
steps like that, I felt the difference, but
Right.
so probably a little uncomfortable, but shit, these days I don't give a fuck. I can be comfortable. I've been told, and this, I can have a full conversation in a fucking empty room.
Right. Of
I
course.
have, I have no issue whatsoever. When I walk in someplace, all I got to do to begin with, yes, I might need a prop. I wouldn't want to just go and stand alone in the middle of a room.
Mhm.
I would need something. I need to do something. Go be against the wall, go grab a soda, go grab a water, grab something,
Right.
or find somebody I know type of thing.
Right.
But then that's the reason I would feel uncomfortable standing in the middle of the room is because I would just be fucking awkward,
Right.
under
Yeah.
any circumstances. Stand in the middle
Mhm.
of like if I walked out right now, just stood in the middle of the goddamn street out in front of Kathy's house. What the fuck? What
Right.
are you doing? Just hanging out, being comfortable in my own skin.
Right.
But shit, yeah, the fact that you said today, always, or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck you said, it just made me laugh.
Yeah.
Ah. So even when you go, well, maybe it's even worse. Like when because you go to these bars and stuff by yourself. I mean, I know
Right.
you'll be hanging with your buddy, or at least not hanging with him, but obviously
Right.
you know somebody there.
Mhm.
But I mean, when you go to these shows, literally not necessarily you end up seeing people, but you go just by
Right.
yourself or whatever.
Mhm.
That's uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, I mean, but probably easier than having to, be entertaining to someone else. I mean, it's different when I
That's a good
go,
point.
well, I like when Chris and I go, that's different because we're together going someplace and doing something together. That's totally different. But yeah, no, yeah, I'm not. I don't know, shit. I mean, going, yeah, well, family stuff. I mean, even like a gathering of whatever. It takes me a minute to yeah, it does. Always has. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that's just now I'm going to be watching you. Just so you know, whenever it is
Great.
when you walk into a room from now on, I'm
That'll
just gonna,
help.
I know that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to be sitting there with I'm sitting now. I'm kind of sitting back, kind of leaned over to one side.
Mhm.
My hands are together. My hands are kind of like
Mm.
in a praying
Uh-huh.
type of thing. I'm just going to be looking at you out of the corner of my eye. And you'll go, he's fucking uncomfortable right now. I can see it. I can see it now. I can see
Right.
it.
Yeah. Fine.
But you know what? I know what you mean about entertaining. So when I went to the first Foo Fighters concert back
Right.
in whatever that was, summer of 21.
Mhm.
And I ended up asking that, and it was an individual that I met through a dating app, and we had gotten
Right.
together a couple of times. And
Mhm.
quite honestly, I never should have asked her to go,
Right.
just because it was one of those things where we got along, but it just wasn't. Again, there's people that I have, like for instance, my friend Morgan. Um,
Mhm.
she and I mean, I don't know why and how or whatever. We're just friends, but we're really good friends, and
Right.
we gel together really well, and I enjoy her company. And I think, well, she probably wouldn't hang out with me, at least if she
Right.
couldn't tolerate me. So I think she enjoys my company too,
Mhm.
But this individual that it was a last minute thing. I had somebody else I was going to ask. That kind of went weird, and so I asked her.
Right.
And then it was all fine, but I mean, it just the conversation. It wasn't her fault.
Mhm.
She just wasn't as big of a conversationalist as I am, maybe.
Right. Hmm.
And it was, I don't know, it was weird. So finally it's like when the concert started, I'm just like, I fucking, I'm here for one goddamn thing.
Right.
You're an adult, you deal with your fucking self. And
Mhm.
I'm trying here. I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to
Mhm.
get you involved. Once the music starts, I can't fucking hear you anyhow. So whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, that was up to that point. That was, it was challenging, while we were waiting, when
Mhm.
we first got in there, we are kind of hanging out, waiting for everything. And whoever the opening bands were, I don't think we went in. We were right at the tail end of whatever the opening band was. I remember who it was, and I don't remember that I cared about them.
Right.
Um, but yeah, you're right. That's more work
Yeah.
trying to. And when you said that, I'm like, that's immediately what I thought about. Is that like that fucking Foo Fighters concert?
Mhm.
I'm like, that was a lot of fucking work.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when I go to see a show by myself, I mean, I'm there to watch the band, listen to the music, and go. I'm not there for anything else. I'm not there to socialize. I'm not there to hang out and party and blah, 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 any of that shit. I'm there for a specific reason. When it's done, I leave.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow night, yes, it's going to be fantastic to see my friend that I haven't seen in a long time. It's going to be very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing, I've seen, Handsome Dick before, doing Dictator stuff. But it's going to be really cool seeing my buddy back behind the drums, doing it with him. Yeah, it's going to be great fun. And, when it's over with, I'm going to go back to my motor lodge in Allen Park, Michigan, and crash out, get up in the morning, dick around Detroit a little bit, and come home.
Your motor lodge.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's that sounds great. Seriously, it sounds great. But from what it sounds like, from what you're saying, is he's a working drummer, right? Is this the guy you were talking about that's worked for years?
No. That's another guy. That's a bass player. Yeah, that's Brad. But yeah. No, Scotty. Scott does fucking all kinds of shit. He always has. He worked on that metal show.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. He does whatever needs to be done. When Duff from Guns N' Roses went out with his solo band, Scott was the road manager. He's done that for several bands. He does all kinds of shit. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's. Still, like you said. At that time, you went on your way and he stayed. And I think you know as well as anyone else that that's the rock and roll business, to be in it that long on any scale or at any level. It's not easy, I can't imagine. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, man, he works entertainment, all kinds of aspects of it in the rock and roll side of things. But yeah, he's a fucking fantastic drummer, always has been. He was fantastic drummer when he was fucking 19 years old. It was like, God damn, that dude's good.
Right.
Yeah, and still is.
That's cool. That's actually very cool. All right. So speaking of music and speaking of some of the rock and roll, I found another article. I ran across one. 15 best heavy metal songs of all time. Huh? Now, here's the thing. I don't think you're going to be.
Hey, Eric Clapton's coming and playing Cleveland this summer.
Okay. Well, remind me of Eric Clapton here for a second, too. I just got to ask you a question about that.
Right.
But I don't think you're going to be completely mad about this list. It's got some decent ones. I won't. Number 10. Oh, not number 10. Number 15. Were you ever into the band? Ever listen to Rammstein?
Rammstein?
Yes, it's Steen or Stein.
Yes.
Okay, exactly.
Frankenstein.
There's they're number 15 with Du Hast. I'm
yes.
sure I've heard that song. Bob and Brian used to play it the morning show I listened to just to fuck around. They play one of their fucking songs every once in a while on their rock and roll radio station. So that's 15. Slipknot fan or no?
No.
Okay, we'll skip that. That's 13. Anthrax?
They're all right. They got some good stuff.
Song Madhouse at number 12, 1985.
Okay.
Pantera? No.
Yeah.
The song Walk, number 10.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train, number 9.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not, are you, I guess we ever talked about that? Are you a Ozzy fan at all?
Fozzy? Fozzy Born?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I love Black Sabbath.
Right.
He's the weakest link in the band.
Right. Okay. Well, that answers that question. What about Dio?
Yeah. What song?
Holy Diver, 83, number 8.
He's got better ones, and I like his work at Rainbow too. But yeah, okay.
All right. So number 7, Motorhead, Ace of Spades.
Yeah, well, it's not their best song, but their most famous one. All right.
Okay, there's a Megadeth in here. I'm sure you don't care about Megadeth. No. Slayer, you don't care about.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you like this one. Number 4, Judas Priest, Breaking the Law.
Yeah. Again, not their best song, but
right. Understood.
Right.
Iron Maiden, yes, no.
Yeah, some.
Number 3, The Trooper from 83.
Yeah, it's all right. Not anywhere near their best song, but all right.
Number 2, Metallica, Master of Puppets.
Yeah, not their best song, but all right.
Okay, I guess we're getting someplace. So, what band did you say you liked before? You a huge fan of? Ozzy was the weakest link.
Oh, Sabbath.
Number 1, Paranoid.
Paranoid, yeah, not their best song, but all right.
Okay, I guess we saw a theme to that. Not their best song, but I just
Right.
figured I saw obviously there's some bands in there that I knew you didn't hate. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
figured that worst case scenario you wouldn't hate that list that I had for once. But
Right.
again, it's just these things, in the problem is I don't want to say the problem. I was just going to say the problem is I'm not getting any more drunk stories. But Google. I flip through and when I'll eat my lunch, sometimes I go through Facebook, I go through Instagram, and then as I'm finishing up, I'm kind of spinning through articles, a lot of hiking shit that I get, and whatever, of course, and then I seem to get a lot on rock shit and a lot on hiking stuff, and that one just came up, and I looked, I'm like, I get a couple of them, I look at, I'm like, now Mike would hate this one, so I'm not gonna bring this one up, so.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but okay, so not a terrible list, but
Mm-hmm.
all right. So I mean, I don't know. It's a fucking Thursday night. I think we could probably cut it off. I suppose I could go ramble on for a while, but I don't
Ramble
feel
on. There's a good song.
that is a good song. There was real quick. There was a list that I can't remember all the bands or all the songs in it. Top 5 songs that didn't have a chorus in it,
Oh, that would
and
be interesting.
one of them was what am I thinking? The Queen song.
What, Bohemian Rhapsody?
There you go. God, why
Yeah.
couldn't I? Boy, that just Bohemian Rhapsody. There was an Eagles or not Eagles, a Beatles song in there. Something warm, hot, something.
Happiness is a warm gun.
Maybe that was it. What I say, hot, warm.
He did.
um, but yeah, the
Oh yeah,
Bohemian.
that famous Beatles song, "Hot Warm."
Again, I read this list so quick. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it was yesterday. I couldn't get that fucking song out of my head all day.
Nice.
But there was like another few that I just Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess. But
Right.
I just never thought about that. Songs that didn't actually have a chorus in it.
Right.
So it was interesting. So
Mm.
anyhow, but so what do you think? Are we fucking done? Get one more
You know
fuck in there.
what? I think we're fucking done.
All right, your turn.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to yet another episode of Sober Not Mature. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, go out and do something nice for somebody else this week, and don't tell anybody you did it. Now, from the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul, from the beginning of time till the ends of the earth, always and eternally, fuck you. Now it's time, kids. It's time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off till you get to a gate with a sign on it saying, you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
See, and now this time I know you had that in front of you because it just went off smooth, like
Right.
butter,
Well, the
like
first
butter.
part, I mean, the fuck off part, I've had memorized for a year and a half now, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, that part I knew, but yeah, what was it? Was it last week that you're like, I
Yeah,
can't
it
fucking
was.
find it.
I couldn't get my phone open and find where it was at. And right. Yes.
Which again was kind of funny, but no, yeah, the fuck off part. I mean, that's I think that's fun that you have that. I know you've had it memorized for a long time,
Mhm.
but so quick side note: did you happen to watch anything of the SNL 50th special?
Little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
it was nice to know that it was pretty much as lame as everything else they do.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask your opinion because I didn't know if you had watched the whole thing. So there
I
was
watched the
certain.
whole musical one they did like a week or so before that. That was kind of
Oh,
cool.
okay. Yeah, and I didn't see that one, but when they were talking about the whole 50th thing, and I did, it was obviously they had it on whatever, a couple of days later, I was able to watch it, and again, they had all fucking commercials. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I
Mm-hmm.
pay for this whatever service it is, and I still watch goddamn commercials.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, it wasn't. I don't know those parts of it that it was like whatever it was. It was literally like 2 hours or 3 hours or
Yeah.
whatever. I think I
Right.
watched it over 2 nights. And I think I had, I don't know, probably 15 minutes of laughter,
Mm-hmm.
maybe,
Yeah. That's about
in,
right.
yeah, spread out, in it, which again, I mean, I'm just like, okay, it's great. 50 years. It's an iconic show and all that stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
get it. But, yeah, I mean, some of these obviously I haven't watched it in years. Not obviously,
Right.
I have not watched it in years.
Right.
But yeah, it was just I don't know. I wasn't as impressed as it got. It got better. I heard better things about it than when I looked at it. I'm like, eh,
Yeah. Right.
I've had better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of better, there's got to be better people out there doing this shit than us too. So
Right.
I think we're done. We're done.
We're
All right,
done.
man.
Done.
I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Talk soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. And now it is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.